Smart Alex Show, baby! All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we have another very special guest on the Smart Alex Show podcast with us today. He's someone I consider a friend and someone I look up to in the world of sports business and media. An all-around great human being. This young man used to dust fools in track and field at The Ohio State University. He's currently at ESPN, where he and his team are the ones responsible for all the incredible marketing content around the NBA on ESPN. A very huge and special welcome to Deontre Gray. What's up, my man? How you doing?
I appreciate it. That was an amazing intro. I appreciate that. Very true. But no, thank you. I'm happy to be here and excited to, excited for the episode.
Excited to catch up, man. So what'd you run when you ran track and field at Ohio State, man?
Yeah, so I ran short sprints. So indoor, it was, like the 60 meters, 200 meters, and then outdoor was 100, 200 relays, stuff like that. I did that pretty much from my 8th grade year through up until college. Retired early in college, but no, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Nice, man. So when you say you retired early, like how many years did you run in college?
So in college, I only ran, about a year and a half. So two school years, but, pretty much like a full season, just due to, like injuries and other stuff where like, I had to red shirt, different things like that, just to get healthy, stay healthy. And then, life happens and up the cleats early and start focusing on like the business side of sports.
You, hey, well, look at you now, still in the sports realm, just on the business side now, man. So you knew when to hang it up. That's what's up. So more of a short distance as opposed to like an endurance runner then? You just had that quick sprint, that burst on you, or what?
Yeah, short turnover, quick start, quick, pretty much everything, been fast, quick, pretty much my whole life. So
that's what's up. So during your tenure there as a student athlete, who were like some other big student athletes there? Wasn't it Zeke around during those years you were there?
Yeah. So we won the national championship my sophomore year. So pretty much everyone was there that you can kind of think of, Braxton Miller, Marshawn Lattimore, JT Barrett, Dwayne Haskins. I think he was there. He would have been younger at the time.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Thomas, pretty much everyone that you kind of see in the NFL now. That's some of the bigger names just across the board. It's so many to name. I'm leaving out a bunch of them, and I know a few of them. So, but yeah, no, it was definitely a loaded roster. So anybody that was at Ohio State from 2013 to 2017 is kind of who I was there with.
That's what's up, man. So did you get to interact with any of those guys like Lattimore and MT or Zeke or any of them boys?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, student athletes, we have like a student center where we have to go and do homework and have, tutoring, class sessions and all that good stuff. And then our class schedules are kind of made the same as well. We get kind of like first priority. And then just based off of practice schedules, the athletes either, you have an early morning workout or you have an afternoon workout. So you have to work around certain parameters. So we ended up in a lot of the same classes due to that. So I had classes with pretty much everyone I kind of named, and then even more people that I didn't name.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So I know me and you have talked about this, briefly before in our previous chats, but I wanted to dive back into your story just for, the listeners out there that maybe their dreams to work for ESPN or they're trying to get into sports marketing, whatever the case may be. So what for you started you on this trajectory, man? Like obviously you were a student athlete, but what did you start doing in your time in college that really got you on this path to be where you're at now?
Yeah. So I was always interested in business and marketing, and especially like just the business side of everything. So I liked marketing a lot just because, it's no like set rules to it. Marketing can be very subjective. You can do your own thing with it. It can be as creative as you like. And it's a very kind of like, collaborative business. So that was one thing that I always really liked about it. And then, like I was saying, from the sports side of it, once I ended my athletic career, I wanted to, focus on the business side of sports specifically. So, and that was also around a time where, Maverick Carter and Rich Paul and all these other big names in sports was really starting to hit hit their rise of fame and their breakthrough years. So I was like, I kept watching things and reading things like, oh, I want to be like him. I want to be like him. So just started just reading different things like that. And then from my own personal experiences, just kind of started tailoring everything, that's currently on my resume or just like that I could control, and get involved as much as possible and use my connections at school and just kind of in life to really work on the business side of sports. So that's when I interned with, the Ohio State Athletic Department, and had a great relationship with our athletic director, Gene Smith, and, was able to, have some connections and meet some people that worked with Nike, and then that ended up leading me to an internship with USA Track and Field. Then I had a internship during the school year with IMG, and also that department there as well, and just doing a number of things that really helped me learn the business side of sports very quickly. And then ended up doing a professional development program known as MLT, and super grateful for it, as a number of, some of my older mentors and classmates and different things like that. They did the program previously. So, they mentioned it to me, said, you should look into this, that sort of thing. And super grateful for them. So it was a professional development program. It was over like a year and a half. And it essentially gives you the ability to network and meet companies and just kind of, get your foot in the door before everyone else, especially for minorities, getting minority students just into, positions of power as they kind of, go through their own individual careers. So with that, that's essentially what, led me to my internship with ESPN in 2016. So that was my junior year. So
basically it was
yeah.
you ran track and field freshman and sophomore year. You're studying. What were you majoring in at the time? Was it sports marketing or what was it specifically?
So at the time, I was a marketing major. I was a business marketing major, and got into like the Fisher School of Business and all that good stuff. And then after that, just kind of wanted identifying what I wanted to do specifically, and wanted to specifically specialize in like sports and all that good stuff. So picked up or the major in that, and then had a minor in leadership studies and different stuff like
cool.
that.
So at Ohio State, is it like the sports management / marketing that's within the business school, or how does that work?
So it's separate. Okay.
That's
some of the
here at UT too.
Yeah, not yet. Some of the classes, they carry over, or it can count as, dual credits, or have, help you with a different minor and different things like that, but still keep you on track. So very similar, but yeah, two different schools.
So we got you're studying that, and then you've gotten you've been building these connections within the athletic department. You intern with USA Track and Field, IMG. And now we're on the ESPN part of things, man. So MLT, I don't know if I told you this before, but I was actually an MLT as well. So that's how I actually got the ESPN internship as well. Just like meeting Kari. I don't know if you know Kari from, he was in research.
Yeah.
I see, yeah.
That's my guy.
Yeah. Kari's cool, man. Yeah, he's the first dude I ever met from ESPN. He was sitting at the Disney table, and I was like gassed, man. You know how the MLT like networking sessions are, and I was like, man, he looks like a cool dude to talk to. Like, I've never thought of working at Disney because at the time I hadn't thought of the correlation like Disney, ESPN, So
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. It's a hidden gem. It's a hidden secret.
Exactly. So I linked with Kari, and long story short, that's how me and you ended up meeting up. This past summer when I was interning with Live Sports. But yeah, man, they're huge in terms of providing minorities with opportunities to get into that, whatever space they really want in corporate America, man. But yeah. So that's MLT gang right there, both of us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, but definitely a blessing. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So what was your first role with when you got the ESPN internship? Actually, let's back it up. So you're in MLT, right? what do
Yep.
you do specifically to make sure that you land that ESPN internship, the first role that you had?
Yeah, no, I mean ESPN, I mean, or not ESPN, but MLT is all about, just being the big word is scrappy. So, taking advantage of, every opportunity that's kind of in front of you and, stepping out of your comfort zone and really pushing yourself. So for me, it was just kind of conversing with as many recruiters and as many people as possible, regardless if I was interested in the company or not, using it as practice for the companies that I was interested in, or just kind of establishing a genuine connection, just because you don't know who may know who once you kind of explain what you may be interested in or what you want to do. They're like, oh yeah, I know somebody that works there. I know somebody that works here. And regardless if it's for an internship or not, it could be something that helps you 5 years down the road, whatever the case may be. So that was, so essentially, the things that I was doing from that perspective was just reading up on the companies as much as possible, seeing if it was something that I actually wanted to do, learning about the individual roles and kind of like what they were interviewing for, and what actually kind of like piqued my interest. And then from there, just having a nice little elevator pitch put together, making sure my resume was in order, and then just having like some good talking points to have a good conversation going, where it doesn't, you don't feel like a robot, but you're getting the point across of what you're trying to accomplish and do, and what you're interested in. So yeah, it was more so just networking, and making sure you know what you want to do, and even if you don't know what you want to do, you know what you don't want to do. So that's what it
Yeah, I think
mainly
that's
was for me.
important, right, man? Like knowing what you don't want to do. Like for me, I didn't really know what was out there, so I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So it was like but at least I knew what I didn't want to do. I was like, I don't want to do
Right.
a role where I'm sitting in Excel all day. That was my thing.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that was enough to lead me kind of in the direction. But yeah, man, I think those are awesome points, man. So yeah, I think. What do you think? How important is that, man? Because that's something like that's dear to me. Is like I don't like when I hear people like sounding like a robot. You know what I mean? Like star method.
Yeah.
Let me like do my elevator pitch like this, answer questions like this, and it's like seems like very robotic, and like you can tell when they're like trying to do certain things in the talking point. Like how important is it like for you just to like be genuine, man? And how big do you think that is in differentiating like people who actually make it and don't make it, like when they're networking? Like just being genuine and having a real conversation.
For sure, yeah. No, I mean, the authenticity is one of the most important parts of it all. I mean, obviously, everybody can be, understanding, especially when you first starting off your career, and they can sense the nerves and know that you're nervous. And even myself, if I'm talking to, a younger somebody that's a student now, like I know because I was just there, 4 years ago, whatever the case may be. So you understand how it is, and yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean,
So
even
I
me
mean,
doing
you
this
get it.
podcast talking to you, bro. Like I'm trying to work out the nerves right now. You know what I'm saying?
No, 1,000%. Yeah. So I mean, like it's like it's one of those things that you understand, but like it's one of those, if you can find a good balance of it where it does feel authentic and genuine, and it doesn't feel like you're only talking to this person because you want a
Yeah.
job or what they can do for you, and you can just be a human being. It makes the conversation easier on both ends because it's not forced. There's not as many awkward pauses, and then you're not overthinking or messing up or scrambling over your words because you're like, oh, what am I going to say next? Or you have like this script in your head, and then it's like, if the person doesn't respond how you expected them to, that might throw you off your game. So I mean, it's one of the, yeah, it's just one of the most important things to do. And it's one of the, it's cliche, but it's just be yourself, and remembering, being your authentic self is what got you there. So,
No doubt,
and
man.
then if it won't, if it doesn't get you to, that company, maybe that may not be the company meant for you or meant for you right now. So,
Yeah.
you continue to be your authentic self and just go somewhere where, they accept you for who you are and what you're trying to do and what you want to accomplish, and then making sure that it aligns with, everything that they want to accomplish as well.
No doubt, man. Yeah, I appreciate that insight, man, a lot because I think that's huge. Making things less transactional. Like a lot of business majors or people who study certain topics. It's like everything's transactional. Like, I want to talk to this person because I want to get an internship or get a job or get this connection. You know what I mean? When you take that out of it, it'll become
Yep.
more genuine, and it's actually going to work out better for you anyways. And even if you, like you said, if you don't get the role, maybe it's not the place for you, but at least your reputation's still intact. You're not going to be known amongst
Exactly.
people within the industry, and especially in the small sports industry, like, the one I'm trying to get into and you're currently in. It's like everyone knows everyone, and you don't want to have that kind of reputation, as someone who's just, sleazy or transactional. So I appreciate that, man. So
Oh
what'd
yeah,
you do
definitely.
in the first ESPN internship role, man?
So yeah, ESPN internship role. So for me, I didn't know what my role was going to be when I accepted the offer. They just said like you're a sales and marketing intern, and then it's kind of they place you in whatever department, just or team department, whatever that kind of needs an intern at that time. So for me, I was actually placed in one of our consumer insights roles, which is in our research group. And I also did like a dual internship with our corporate citizenship group because I had, just communicated that, like volunteering and, philanthropy and different things like that was important to me. So got to work with two great teams. And it was kind of like the perfect setup for me because, the corporate citizenship side of things, it helped me meet a lot of people just within the company because the summertime is kind of like the biggest time that everyone kind of volunteers within the company. And, you have things going on with the SBs and V Foundation and all these like summer camps and tutorings and all these different sessions and stuff. So being able to, and even outside of that, you also have the things of, organizing the big groups to go to a camp or go to, whatever kind of like team activity and bonding activity. So being able to do that, allowed me to meet a lot of people and a lot of people to meet me. So made a lot of great, genuine, authentic relationships and people that I talk to this very day. And then from Consumer Insights, essentially what that team does is, they're the first people to talk to the fans. Running, surveys or focus groups, whatever the case may be. So it's of the, everything from the marketing department kind of starts with research or ends with research. And 9 times out of 10 is both. So that allowed me to meet a lot of like executive leadership because, the presentations and different things, like the first thing you kind of hear in every meeting is like, okay, well, what does the research say? Or, what does research say about this? Or what does research say about that? So I'd be an intern in these meetings with, SVPs and VPs and people that, people who have actually worked at the company for multiple years, haven't had a one-on-one conversation with. So like after every meeting, I would just kind of reach out and say like, hey, like, I had a great time in the meeting, learned a lot, blah, blah, great insights. Would love to, sit down and chat with you more or learn about, your career path or just get to know you. And unfortunately, you weren't able to be in the office, but that's kind of like the culture at ESPN where it's like they're super happy and welcoming to the interns and willing to sit down with you and go to Starbucks and grab a coffee or take you out to lunch or whatever the case may be. So I was able to meet a lot of people that way as well. So that was the great aspect and part of it, and it helped me leave a good impression and really allow me to, have a perfect balance of, professional development, personal development, and then just be able to network as well.
That is awesome, man. And yeah, like you said, it sucks I couldn't be in the office, but I can attest to that. Like, it was a culture of like yourself, everyone I reached out to was always like super open to, like, yeah, let's set up a Zoom call, let's talk,
Yep.
any questions you have, like, just, ask me this and that. Like, it was a culture that was very welcoming and helpful and like super there for the interns, man. So I know, and all the other interns I talked to today appreciated that. So yeah, thank you, man. But so I was gonna ask you, so like, what was it like when in the corporate citizenship side of things with like the SBs and the V Foundation? Like, those are things like the SBs I've watched since I was younger, right? And like Jimmy Valvano's speech, like that's just an epic speech. Like, it really hits you hard, it hits the heart. So what kind of stuff were you doing, like, in specifically for those, like when all that was going on at ESPN during your internship?
Yeah, I mean, that was specifically, just reaching out to, previous donors and people who have, been able to donate to the cause and following up with them, see if they want to match, the previous year donation or add on to it, finding new people to also reach out to, seeing, um, the make-a-wish likeness and students and stuff like that, seeing, what stories kind of make, not make most sense, but the stories that they would like to prioritize. Like John Cena is a big advocate for Make a Wish, and then just also just being able to identify everything with that, and then allowing them to showcase kind of like the talents and different things of everything they just have going across the board.
What's up, man? What's up? That seems like it's also like a fulfilling. Can you hear me again?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
No, okay.
That was probably on my end. Yeah, you were saying, man, kind of cut out. I don't know which part you were on.
Yeah, so no, I can just kind of start over. So
Okay.
what I was doing with corporate citizenship and the ESPYs and everything was reaching out to the donors who have kind of, or the sponsors and donors who have donated in the past, seeing if they want to match their last year's donation or add on to it, and also helping identify new people, identify new partnerships, and then Make a Wish Foundation, different things like that. Making sure everything's in, all the ducks are in a row from that perspective. A PR angle, social angle, everything's just kind of like running according to plan, and then also just allowing everyone to kind of have the freedom to really express what's important and what they value the most. But the ESPYs is and was a well-oiled machine. It almost does it by itself, even though so many people touch it and work on it. It's in such a great cycle, where it's not a heavy lift, at least for that team, and not for I don't think too many teams. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of great work, but they know what they're doing.
No doubt, man. Yeah, the ESPYs are huge. I look forward to it every year. You know, it's whenever they give out like the awards. Like I remember it was what's the woman from ABC, Good Morning America, Roberts. Like when she got her award, that was
Robin Roberts,
Stuart Scott.
yes. Yep.
Those are just inspiring stories, man. So that's awesome. You got to work with them, and then like Consumer Insights. It seems like that's a place to be as an intern, right? Because like you said, you're interacting with so many different people, so many different execs. So, shoot, it sounds like a good place to network, man. But so
Definitely.
for someone in my shoes, right? Like I just interned with ESPN, and although it wasn't in a like physical capacity as I wish, like still blessed to do it, remotely. For someone that's transitioning and looking like where can I go full time? What did you do, in addition to everything you just said, obviously execute very well in all your roles and all your day-to-day tasks, but what else did you do in terms of just networking and things like that to ensure you got a full-time role at the end of it, to ensure you got that return offer and secured the bag in that sense?
Yeah, so I mean, like with ESPN, I mean, at the time, I know they've been able to change things and try to do it as much as possible now of getting interns to come back as full time employees. But at the time, they kind of told us it's just like it's not guaranteed up front, just because the sports industry it's very opportunistic, and timing is pretty much everything with them. So you just kind of have to hope that they have an available spot on a team that you may or may not like, that sort of thing. And so for me, it was the one thing I did, especially towards the end of my internship, was like, want to stay top of mind with the people that I had met, and if there was any, openings for teams within ESPN, but also just asking people like, okay, if not at ESPN, what are some other companies that you know, or other people that that may or may not be hiring, in another year, or doing something that, that based off of our conversations that I feel good about. seeing, what connections lead to from there. And then, once I returned to school, I stayed in touch with everyone and kind of like kept them updated. I probably did it 3 times throughout the years, like, welcome back. When I first got back to school, saying thank you, kind of like a wrap up email. When the first semester ended, saying like, first semester just ended, happy holidays sort of thing. And then another time, kind of like in the second semester of it all. But yeah, I didn't really wait on too much of anything. I started interviewing with other companies almost immediately, starting off that first semester, just because I wanted to at least have a couple offers by the end of my first semester, just so I could kind of relax the second semester anyway. And then after that, once I kind of got that out the way, just started reconnecting with other companies and following up with ESPN, seeing like, okay, like, hey, it's February, what do you guys think? Is there going to be any availabilities or openings and different things like that for any positions? And just kind of went from there.
Yeah, it's kind of scarier, right? Especially like being an MLT, when every other industry, like they already know what they're doing, and like,
Exactly.
depending on if they're in finance, they already know what they're doing like September. And then some of the other buddies,
exactly.
like everyone already kind of knows first semester, but then it's like for the sports and entertainment side of things, it's like things are moving, a lot slower. It's really going down in the second semester when you're already looking at graduation. So it's a little bit scarier in terms of like, when you're seeing your buddies' timelines. But dang, man. So February, you hit them up and you're like, is there going to be any availability? And what kind of happens from there?
Yeah. February, that was like the time frame with like when the conversation started off. I probably didn't actually decide to come back to ESPN though until like maybe like April, if not later, because I started in July, so July of 2017. So I pretty much had like a 2-month break after graduation, and then packed all my stuff up and moved out to New York.
Quick turnaround.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. It was definitely, quick, but it was enjoyable. The 2-month break was kind of great. I think I moved to New York maybe 2 weeks before my start date, just to kind of get settled in and just kind of enjoy the New York summer. But it was definitely worth it. I'd do it the same way again. But the conversation started in February. I probably didn't actually decide anything until like the April time frame, and that was just based off of wanted to finish up a couple other, interviews and, conversations with other companies, and, also just weighing all the options and seeing, weighing the pros and cons of, what was best for me if I did want to move to New York, because some of the other roles were in other cities like Chicago or, and Houston, Dallas, and, in the state of Texas, stuff like that.
You almost came down to Texas, huh? You almost came down to us.
Yeah, I thought about it. I'll probably end up down south eventually, maybe one day. But right now, I'm enjoying New York.
What's up, man? That's what's up. Where are you from originally, Trey?
So originally, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. So
Indiana, yeah, that's great. Okay. So were you rooting for the Colts this year, man? You Colts fan?
Yeah. So I'm so from a football side, I'm a Colts and Saints fan. And then I just support all the teams, that have where I have either a friend or a family member a part of it. And then on basketball side, I never really grew up as a Pacers fan, but I used to go to a lot of Pacer games and really enjoyed the era where we had like, Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson, Reggie Miller, those players. I was born in northern Indiana, so it was a little closer to Chicago. Being born in the 90s was more of a Chicago Bulls baby, and the Jordan era and all that stuff. But outside of that, I kind of, from the NBA side of things, I just follow my favorite players, that sort of thing. And but if I did have to pick a team, it'd probably be the Lakers. Magic Johnson was my favorite player of all time.
Really? I like that, man. Not many people say that. A lot of people, they'll pick. A lot of people would even pick like Kareem over Magic. But I'm a huge Magic fan, man. huge Magic
Yeah,
fan. And I feel like that's pretty common in the NBA, right? Like people follow a lot more nowadays players as opposed to teams, right? So I, who are the biggest players you follow now? Because like for me, for example, I'm a Mavs fan, right? I'm obviously
mhm,
a huge Luka fan, but I'm a Mavs fan through and through. But I'm also a LeBron
yeah,
fan. So if my guys
yeah.
are out, like for example, last year in the playoffs, I was rooting for the Lakers. But who are the guys you follow in that realm?
My favorite players to watch. I mean, favorite players to watch now. I say LeBron for sure. Um, Kyrie. Uh, Luka's up there. Luka's definitely
Oh
one.
yeah, I like that.
Um,
Hey, it was it. I don't think you said that before the bubble, man. Did he grow on you in the bubble?
Nah, so I enjoy Luka before
Yeah.
the bubble. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
he had the buzzer beater and some amazing moments within the bubble itself. But I mean, even from the start of his rookie year,
No doubt.
he's
Yeah,
already
yeah.
having some historic accomplishments and feats. So he's carving his own lane and path, and
He is.
he'll be a amazing player.
Yeah, I like that you said that. Mark Cuban says that a lot in his interviews. He's like, don't try to compare him to anyone because he's kind of carving out his own path right now. So, dude,
Yeah,
the way that us Mavs fans felt when he hit that buzzer beater in like what was it,
yeah,
like game 4 of the Clippers series? We haven't felt that good
yeah,
since 2011, bro. Like that's
yeah,
the best we felt since Dirk lifted the Finals MVP in 2011. So that was awesome to see,
definitely.
man. I'm of the opinion that if we had KP, if he didn't get hurt, first of all, but even if he
Mm.
didn't get ejected wrongfully, I believe in game 1, I think we could have had that series, man. It was tight. It was tight, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what's up, man. That's what's up. So yeah, that's cool, man. So I wanted to go back to the ESPN thing because I think you hit
Yep.
on something very important for like people that are young and trying to like decide what they want to do when they're weighing factors of like where they want to work. What were the biggest things of importance to you when weighing like I want to work at ESPN over these other companies that I have offers at?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, especially when you first come out of school, the most important thing to me was salary. So who's paying me the most? But I mean, outside of that, it was also just kind of like location, um, stability and job security. I definitely didn't want like a role where it may only last for a year or whatever, and then you kind of like on your own and you got to figure it out, and you're essentially back at square one. So I wanted to have something where it's a little more permanent. And then yeah, outside of that, it was just the best fit from my interests and kind of like what I saw myself doing at the time. The people from the people that I interviewed with, the culture of the company, different stuff like that. All these people I could see myself hanging out with, or that I would enjoy being around, or just enjoy, you know, from even if it doesn't span outside of a professional relationship. Will I enjoy working with these people? And then some places you can take it a step further, and you meet some of your best friends or friends at work, and they can end up at your wedding or whatever the case may be. So that's also another beautiful thing that transpires from work relationships. So the culture was also important, but salary stability, and then also just culture.
Okay. That's cool, man. That's cool. So, do you actually interact with a lot of the people you work with, like outside of work, pre-COVID times, all that good stuff?
Yeah, pre-COVID times, definitely. I mean, it's always you either make your own happy hour, or you're going to a work happy hour. Sometimes they're for goodbye parties, and somebody taking the next step in their career. But
Sure.
those moments are super important. And then you have working at a sports company. Every big sporting event is huge and major. So especially the ones ESPN may own, but it's Super Bowl, March Madness. You have CFP National Championship, NBA
Oh yeah.
Finals. It's always something going on in the office, or something themed or something like that. And then
That's
the
cool.
people that you meet at work. New York is such a large city, and
For sure.
especially in the summer, kind of like a party city where you might run into some coworkers.
Yeah.
at a day party or something like that. So yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
Sounds like a fun time, man. Man, I really wish I would have been able to go over there this past summer, but we'll see what the future holds, man. So yeah,
Right.
that's what's up. That's what's up. So how was New York City for you when you first moved in, man? Like as an intern, and then like later on once you graduated. Because like me, I'm from Texas, right? So Dallas is
Yeah.
a big city, but nowhere near the scale of New York City. You know what I mean? So what was
Right.
it like for
Right.
you coming from Indianapolis and going to New York City?
Yeah, I mean the size of New York, anything that didn't intimidate me. I mean when I first got out here, I was like, this would be cool for the 10 weeks or whatever. But I definitely don't ever plan on living in New York, and I've
Okay.
been out here for 3 years. But at the time, though, I was like, nah, I was like, I miss my car. I don't want to take the train everywhere. Like everything out here is expensive. Like it was
Well, I
a
feel
list
like
of
I'll
reasons.
probably be the same way at first.
Yeah, no, it was a list of reasons that I didn't really plan on, moving or living in New York. But the my internship, the time that summer was super, fun and a super huge learning experience. Just because you know, it was the furthest, I'd been away from home for an extended amount of time. So for 2 months, that was like the longest that I had been outside of the Midwest from a living capacity. So you learn a lot about yourself. You meet and you continue to meet new people, especially during the summer. So many not just within your own company, but it's like intern palooza, just across the board. Every company
Sure.
has 50, 100 interns or whatever, coming into the summer. So and everybody's looking to do the same thing, meet new people and network and try to land a job. So you meet some amazing people. And then the MLT family is super large out here as well. So I was able to connect with a lot of them, and that helped me navigate different things. And then older, OSU alums and stuff were also out here, so had the benefit of that. But I mean, New York was great to me that summer, and then it ultimately that weighed into the decision of wanting to return back to New York, just because all the amazing people that I met. So I knew I would have a solid foundation and support system of friends to rely on and meet and network with, and just be able to unplug from the world, sort of thing, or at least the work world.
Man, that sounds amazing. Like honestly, man, like if I was ever moving out there now, like I'd be hyped just because you said,
Yeah,
like you're interacting with people that are also trying to make moves that are ambitious, like that are just like you said, like just I can't imagine like meeting interns from all these major companies and just like they're trying to make moves. You know what I mean? It's inspiring in a
definitely,
sense. So and it's
for
also a
sure.
fun time. You know what I mean? I could imagine the
Yeah,
summer is a good time, man. So that is
yeah, yeah.
awesome, my guy. So, what do you do now in your live sports marketing role for the NBA on ESPN right now? Like day to day and large scale. Like what are the tasks that you do within your role, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's a role that wears many hats, but it's
Wow.
essentially putting together the strategies and campaigns behind the marketing and advertising of the NBA specifically on ESPN. So that branches across everything that we do for tip off all the games that we have on a weekly basis. NBA Saturday Prime Time, NBA Christmas, the NBA playoffs, and then also the NBA Finals. And then outside of that, it extends to partnership opportunities that we do with external agencies and vendors and collaborations and stuff that we may do with artists, or and then also just working internally with our social team, our production teams, and production teams, being like the people who run the show The Jump, or First Take or NBA Countdown, and then also programming counterparts, pretty much everyone you can kind of think of across the board that touches the NBA in general, and just making sure that everyone is aligned and aware of the strategy and what we're trying to accomplish from a perspective to get as many people to watch games or be involved in the conversation and become an NBA fan in general, and really just grow the fandom of the sport, specifically on ESPN as much as possible.
Man, you weren't kidding. That's many hats. That's
Yeah.
many hats, man. So when you say like making sure that everyone's aligned and aware of the strategy, like to not only get people to watch games on ESPN, but like just grow the sport. What does that mean in terms of like actionable, projects or items that y'all actually do?
Yeah. So I mean, so for example, somebody who may not necessarily be a fan of LeBron's, on court activities, but
Huh.
they're super huge fan of, everything he does with the school that he owns, or or another player and the shoes that they wear, or something. Basically, they're a fan of the off court stuff more than they are of the on court accomplishments. So taking those people and converting them into NBA fans, and enticing them to want to watch games. And the way we do that is thinking of innovative ways and partnerships to reach the fans that aren't interested in watching a basketball game, and you reach them through the partnerships of partnering with the likes of a complex, and tapping into like hip hop culture and sneaker culture and fashion culture, and having a partnership on sneaker shopping or something
Yeah.
like that. And that like, okay, like maybe I'll watch it. And it says at the end of the episode like, oh, the Lakers and Rockets play on Saturday, because blank just shopped on the episode. 2 million people saw it. So now, if only 100,000 people go watch it that hadn't watched an NBA game before, you help grow the game. So I mean, that's one aspect of it, in one way that it can work, but it's many ways that you can accomplish that goal, and then it's also the alignment part comes from just teamwork, and making sure everyone agrees, kind of like with the common goal of what you're trying to do. So you know if you don't see a commercial promoting the game, but you see it run in the jump, or you see it be posted on the ESPN social handle, it's about 4 or 5 ways you can potentially see that one unified message. So it helps reach as many people as possible, whether it be a younger person who is on Twitter or Instagram, or an older person who is watching TV all day. But if it's 6 different messages out there because we don't have, or we're not aligned, it makes everyone's job a little tougher.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's huge, right? Like having like a centralized theme to, market it on all these different platforms to whatever, target markets you're trying to hit. I think that's huge, man. And I love like the cultural intersections of it. Like how you said, like, partnering with maybe Complex, or, just like, people that are big into sneaker fashion. Like I feel like especially the NBA, it's almost unfair, man. It's kind of like I don't know if you remember the project I was doing over the summer, but it was basically like all these cultural intersection points, right? Like NBA
Yeah.
could do any of them. Like
Yeah.
whether it be music, the business side of things, how a lot of the players are invested in the venture capital, like just so many different cultural intersection points with music, fashion. Like the game is part of the culture, right? It's a cultural phenomenon. Like these players are into other things as well. So I think that's
Yeah.
huge. And it's almost unfair the NBA can like y'all can tap
Yeah.
into so many different markets, whereas like maybe MLB or the NFL or others might not be able to, because it just
Yeah.
doesn't
No,
make
that's the
sense.
beauty of it. I mean, you have players involved in hip hop culture, fashion culture, pretty much everything you can think of. You have athletes and NBA athletes in movies and TV shows and all this other stuff. So it makes it, a little easier to reach as many people as possible, because they may not know who Russell Westbrook is, but they're like, oh yeah, I saw him in that TV show the other
Yeah.
day. So it's like, that's where you can connect it, or they know a player's wife. But like
Yeah,
they might not know LeBron, but they know Savannah James. So it's like one of those.
exactly. Or maybe they know, Steph Curry's wife from the cooking stuff,
Exactly.
or maybe, you know what I mean? Or
1,000%.
there's a billion other examples, but I actually had a dude on the podcast the other day. So I haven't put any of this up yet, Trey. Like, I made the site this past week, and
Mm-hmm.
got the RSS feed and all that good stuff. But I'm about to start uploading it all, like chopping it
Yeah.
up and uploading. But the dude I brought on last week, he was telling me how there was a charity game with Russell Westbrook, Harden, Travis Scott, a couple other Meek
Nice.
Mill, a couple other dudes in Houston, and Westbrook was like, he's so competitive, man, that he was trying to get a triple double in a charity game, bro.
Right. Right.
In a
Yeah. Yeah.
charity game. Like he was trying to get a triple double. Like Travis Scott and Meek Mill were trying to like go, one-on-one against each other, just ISO. I think it was Travis against Meek, and Westbrook came out
Right.
of nowhere for the double. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, he was trying to get a
Yeah, yeah.
steal. Like, come on, man. But
Competitive mentality. Yeah.
yeah, no, competitive mentality, man. But nah, that's cool, man. I appreciate the insight for all those listening. In terms of like what you do with the NBA marketing team, it seems like a very cool role. So, has there been any project that you're most proud of in your time with the NBA on ESPN marketing team?
Most proud of, I mean, I'm proud of all of our work, but
Okay.
I would say the one that I'm most proud of, for sure, was this past summer, during, you know, the different, things where it was like the killings of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd, different things like that of that nature. Having being able to produce a spot on that essentially started off with NBA on ESPN, but evolved into essentially the ESPN kind of like stance, of the Black Lives Matter movement, and then also just the fight for racial equality and social injustice, all those different things. We were able to develop a spot that we called. Um, uh, we were able to develop the spot that we called rise, not rise together, but more than just a game.
Well,
So
oh yeah.
yeah, so that was narrated by Maria Taylor, and it circulated its way throughout the entire company, and we were able to sign it off, and saying ESPN stands with Black Lives Matter, and the fight for all those different important things within the culture and society, at an important point. And it was my favorite and most important just because of ESPN didn't necessarily have a message that we put out into the world. But the NBA players and the NBA themselves, that's when they were doing a different player protests, or players were out in the streets and rallies and marches and different things like that. So it gave us a little more flexibility to say, like, we're helping amplify the message and tone that the players are trying to help everyone else perceive. So that was my favorite project because it was when I got to lead, and as a young Black man, um, you know, at ESPN, in a professional capacity, being able to use the platform that I have now, working at a large platform such as ESPN, being able to lead, a campaign and creative like that, was definitely uh, my favorite project. So never just a game. It was definitely my favorite.
That's incredible, man. Mad respect to you and everyone else that put that together, because y'all had to move that all the way from like ESPN through the Walt Disney Company, right? Like all the way to the top, right?
For sure, yeah. So I mean, Jimmy Pitaro saw it, and I'm sure many more. But yeah, it was across the board. SVPs, every SVP, Jimmy, every direct report to Jimmy. It was something that he shared. It was posted to the company's website.
Yeah.
We posted it on our social handles. So
Well,
millions of people saw it.
that was huge, man, and it literally embodied, being more than a game. Like all of that content, it was for something greater. And me as a fellow minority, I empathize, with what was going on, and I'm glad that y'all took that stance. You know what I mean? In the midst of backlash and people saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't politicize sports and this and that," and that's a whole other topic. But yeah, when I saw that, that was right when I was like beginning my internship at ESPN. So it was
Yeah,
like late June, early July. So I didn't even know that. I didn't know how things worked yet. So I didn't know that y'all were behind that. But that was huge, man. So mad respect to y'all. That
for sure.
was definitely more than a game. And I loved that. When live sports did come back, when the NBA bubble came back, like even Emeka emphasized, like like we're coming back with a greater purpose than this is just a game. You know what I mean? It had been such a crazy
For
year
sure.
at that point. So, and it only ended up getting crazier as 2020 went along. That we were only halfway through, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's tremendous, man. Mad respect to you. So, what's it like? Being in a big company like ESPN, but you're in the greater Walt Disney Company, so it's a very massive company, right? So, what's it like? being in such a big company and trying to move your projects, through the ranks to make sure they get, approved and get seen and they come to life? What's that like?
Definitely. I mean, it's quite the process. But I mean, you learn it once you learn it and get the hang of it. It kind of, again, it's one of those, fine oil machines, and it just kind of figures itself out and climbs through the ranks. From the ESPN perspective, not everything reaches the Disney level, just because sometimes it doesn't involve anything Disney related unless we
Yeah.
connect it to a movie launch or something from a synergy perspective. But on the sports side of things, it's just going through our own review process and approval process of making sure your team's good with it, get it up to a VP and SVP, and then sometimes even the president himself. But it's one of those things. It's communication and collaboration is the most important parts, and making sure that everyone feels a part of something. It feels like they played their role and had a say in what makes it out the door. So if you kind of check that box and make everyone feel good about the work and the final product that gets out there, it makes the approval process super easy. Just because if everyone if all the soldiers are aligned by the time it makes it to the general, there's no disputes and
No doubt.
there's
Yeah, that's important, right? I've actually never heard that phrase.
discussions.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
huge, man.
exactly.
That's huge. So basically, usually you're not having to take it all the way to the top. It's just something like that, like with the more than a game, movement and all of that. It was just something so big that was like ESPN taking a hard stance on something. So obviously, like Disney's brand taking a hard stance on something. So that's like an anomaly, you'd say, in terms of the process.
For sure, yeah. I mean, that one was different, and it was just like you had to make sure that specifically with that one, make sure you had the right message out there, just because it was a very
No doubt.
sensitive and
Very, very sensitive.
emotional and intention-filled time for the country as a whole. So that's why that one was a little different. Where the commercial that's promoting the Mavs and Rockets game may not need to reach Bob Iger. So
yeah, no doubt, man. So I wanted to ask you this, Trey. As a fellow minority, as a young Black professional making moves in the sports business space, Trey, how's it been for you working in the space, like specifically at ESPN, who have been like criticized for things in the past, like with the Jamel Hill stuff or executive leadership position, things like that. Have you ever felt like any imposter syndrome in the space or, just like any prejudice? And how have you overcome those things to be as successful as you are within your sports biz career? Because I feel like, there's a lot of people that maybe they're like, I don't want to even try to get into, corporate America or a space like that because I feel like I'm not going to fit in, or maybe I feel like I'm going to be, there's going to be prejudice against me, things like that. You know what I mean? How did you overcome that type of stuff if you did experience it?
yeah, I mean, me personally, I haven't experienced any personal prejudice or anything of that nature, but I say the toughest part for sure has been, especially when you're first starting off your career, being, one of the few African Americans in the entire department, especially at a large company. You would think that it's many more, but I can essentially count on almost one hand the amount of Black males that are in the marketing department itself. I mean, things like we have a VP and Emeka Fadele who is a Black man, and then we have scene directors and everything of that nature. But at the time when I first started, and I think even now, at least in the sports marketing, brand marketing groups. So 1 second, we might. I'll start my answer.
No, you're good. You're good, man. If you need to take it, go ahead.
All right, yeah. So I'll just start it. all the whole
Cool.
But no, essentially, yeah, I would say the hardest part, I haven't experienced any, kind of like personal prejudice, but the hardest part has definitely been, um, being the only Black male within, especially, you know, from a junior level perspective, being the only black male that's in such a large department at such a large company, and looking around and not seeing, you know, many people or no people at all that look like you. So that was the toughest adjustment, especially starting off your career, because, you know, obviously, you know, you want to make a good impression. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, you have the right kind of, you know, instincts, and, you know, you feel like you belong there or you deserve to be there, and making sure that, you know, you have all the kind of like right tools, and, you know, you're prepared to be as accomplished as possible within something. So that was the most important and toughest part for me to kind of like figure out. But outside of that, it was also just figuring out, you know, where I should speak up, where I can't speak up, and knowing, you know, I'm there for a reason, and I deserve to be there because, you know, I worked hard and I accomplished it, and remembering, you know, what got me there and what helped me get there, you know, and regardless of how another person may have got to ESPN, or, you know, if they may have had, you know, a great connection or had somebody help them along the way. You know, what matters the most is remembering, you know, what you do once you get there. You know, everybody can get there, but, you know, if you blow your shot, then you blow it. So that it was remembering that, and then also the aspect of, you know, the point of, you know, speaking up and knowing, you know, when to represent yourself, you know, authentically. It was just a part of, you know, building the confidence within yourself, and you know, obviously you can be deferential, and, you know, you can be respectful and do it in a respectful way, but also you need to know that, you know, take advantage of the opportunity of being one of the few minorities or black people or whatever, within a meeting room, within a boardroom, within a department, because, you know, you're the person that can, you know, can make or break or be a decision maker, especially on those important things to represent your culture, your people, you know, in an authentic and genuine way, and making sure that something doesn't get out the door that you're not proud of, you're ashamed of, or embarrassed of, that your company did. So that was part of it, and then also just being able to really just take in and know, you know, what it is that you know, what it means to be a person of color or a black person in a position of power, and knowing your platform, and sitting back and reflecting, and just, you know, knowing what you've accomplished, and knowing who and what made it possible.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Knowing who and what made it possible, and where you came from, and having that humility is something huge for me as well. And do you think it's like an added responsibility, like from your own perspective, like in terms of like making sure that you feel your culture and your background is represented and stuff that comes out of the door for your company? Do you feel like it's an added responsibility for you?
No, yeah, I mean, definitely, but I mean, I think it just depends on how you look at it. Some people look at it as a pro, some people look at it as a con. Um, to me, um, starting off, the con was like, oh, I'm the only black person here. So that was a con, but then, you know, had to look at it from the other side of things and turn it into a pro, where it was like, you know, I'm the only black person here, so that means my voice is probably the most important in this room when it comes to this field, or this whatever, this topic, or this conversation.
Yeah.
So that's where, you know, everything kind of goes out the door of where you can fall into a game and be a victim of like, oh, you like, you know, this VP or this SVP or this person has been here for 20 years, or we have to listen to this person, or it's like, no, we need to listen to the 22-year-old or 23-year-old that's actually black, you know, because, you know, I have 23 years of experience of being a black person, where
Yeah.
you have zero, regardless of how long you've worked here, you have zero,
Exactly.
you know, so you may know a lot, you may, whatever the case may be, but that's one of the things and topics, and one of the things that, you know, I'm the expert on, and you can't really, you know, convince me otherwise. And, you know, and again, you know, you do it in a respectful way, and you can, you know, have those conversations and make everything a learning opportunity or a teaching opportunity. But it's one of those things you also just have to be able to develop and be able to really let people know, you know, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and then be able to list out why, because they may not be able to think of it from the same way that you look at it or think about it.
So being able to articulate that perspective for those who, can't see from that lens. Okay.
Exactly.
I think that says a lot about a leader, right? Or a company when they're able to listen to someone that maybe, half their age or way younger than them or way less experienced, whatever the case may be, and be able to say like, okay, you have a different, unique perspective than I do, and I trust you. So I think that says a lot about people when they're able to put that trust in them, man. But yeah, thank you for those answers, man. Thank you.
No problem at all.
So, how do you see the NBA evolving over the next decade, man? Because like there's insane international growth, obviously, right? Like we got Giannis, back-to-back MVPs from Greece, Luka, KP, my boys back in Dallas, the Joker, just all these international players that are really balling out. They're arguably, like top 10 in the league. How do you see the growth really evolving over like the next decade with, international growth and domestically?
Yeah, I think the international growth will continue, especially if the 1 year rule stays in place and players decide to go overseas to play for that 1 year. Because like LaMelo Ball, for example, and I don't know if any of his teammates did, but he goes overseas, plays for a year. Everybody's coming to see him, but then you end up seeing 3 or 4 of his teammates, and you're like, oh, we should have him on our radar. So the more big names and everything that kind of like go over there and play overseas, that brings more exposure and opportunity for other international players to make a name for themselves as well. And then even if that rule goes away, I mean, it's just one of those things that's just going to continue to grow. Just because the success of the Lukas and the Giannis's of the world, because the more successful they become, the more they can use their platform to speak to it. But they're like, okay, like who's the next Luka? Who's the next Giannis? What other players may be over there that we haven't seen that we need to go over there and scout and look at? So I think that part of the game will continue to grow and elevate no matter what. If there is a one and done rule or not. But yeah, that's definitely how I see the international game.
Aren't they getting rid of the one and done pretty soon? I thought it was going to be back to where you could draft players straight out of high school pretty soon.
Yeah, so they haven't done it yet. I mean, it's just one of those things that like it's probably going to happen and have to happen. It's one of those things they've expressed interest in doing. It's just more so the right timing of it, and then also how that impacts the NCAA and all that good stuff. And which it doesn't necessarily, it may not matter to the NBA for that aspect of it, but we're also for the high school students and players making those decisions where it's like, okay, like if I try to leave straight out of high school now, I may be a second round pick. But if I, go play 2 years at whatever school, I might become a first round lottery pick. So it's one of those things. It's just having the flexibility and the opportunity to make decisions if they want to do that or not.
Yeah, I think at least from my perspective, it seems like having the flexibility and the freedom to make those decisions seems like the better route. You know what I mean? Because like if you come from like a socioeconomic background where it's like maybe you would benefit a lot from, instead of going to college playing NCAA for a year, like you could help your family out immediately.
Yeah.
And you have the draft stock to be able to do it. Like I don't see why not. But
definitely.
Yeah. So I had a professor here at UT. He writes for ESPN, Kurt Goldsberry. He worked on the analytics side of things for USA Basketball and Spurs a couple years ago. But he was saying like, dude, once they go like to where you get draft straight out of high school, that it's just like it's a mess for like all the analytics because already like trying to map out, the analytics for a college player or a player from overseas is already a headache. But like
right.
Crazy stats from like so many different high school divisions and districts and leagues, and it's just he's like, it's gonna be a headache that I don't even want to think about. So, another interesting variable, man, no doubt.
Yeah.
But so let's get into this rapid fire, man. So, what 3 skills does someone need to have to work in sports marketing and specifically at ESPN Marketing?
Yeah, 3 skills. I say good communication, a great personality. You just have to be somebody that people want to work with and are willing to work with. And then number 3, I say organization. sports marketing, ESPN is a very fast-paced environment. Things can literally change overnight. Where, like for example, if LeBron, knock on wood, if he gets hurt or wakes up tomorrow and says, "Hey, I don't feel like playing," you might have to, change some things overnight where, you already had this commercial and everything else running. So, I say, you just gotta stay organized and just expect the unexpected. So organization, communication, and then a great personality.
No doubt. Love it, man. Love it, man. Organization, I can attest to that just because, like, I saw how, like, the college sports marketing teams were scrambling, man, when, like, the Big Ten was like, oh, we're not doing college football this year. And it's just like, boom, like madness going on. And then, like, obviously, like, the NBA team, y'all experienced it, right, with when the players were, debating ending the season early. Like, it's crazy.
For
I know
sure, definitely.
my team I interned on for the NFL, they're telling me, like, when Monday Night Football had the Raiders last year, and Antonio Brown, like, oh, he's gonna play, he's not gonna play, he's gonna play, and then no,
right.
Like, it's just crazy, man.
The back and forth is a big game. Yeah.
It sounds crazy. I'd imagine the Nets have like a whole deal on their hands with Kyrie right now, but yeah, appreciate it, man. So communication, personality, and organization. Y'all heard it. Top 3 NBA players of all time, man.
All time, Michael Jordan, LeBron, and for me, I'm just be my own personal bias, Magic Johnson. Just because to win 5 championships and still have your career cut short and still have your name in so many records is an amazing feat. So yeah, that's my top 3. But obviously, if I take Magic out, I put Kobe.
You put Kobe in there? I love it, man. I love it. I'm a huge Kobe fan. I mean, I get it in some regards how people leave him out, like the top 3, top 5, sometimes whatever. But for me, he's up there just because, like, his mentality is motivating, and it's just, obviously Dirk was in his prime. He was in his prime. I was always rooting against him, but he was just magical, man. So you got MJ though as the GOAT.
Yeah, MJ for sure.
And that's never going to change for you? Do you think LeBron can?
No, LeBron can definitely, he can top it, for sure. In my opinion, I mean, 6-0 is great and all, but I mean, I think based off of the records and the longevity and to be able to be at the top of a sport for 17 years is quite unparalleled, in any sport. So I mean, I think for me, the biggest thing outside of 6-0 is he did 2 3-peats. 3-peats are hard to come across
in
the NBA. So if LeBron ever did a 3-peat and he had the opportunity to do it in Miami, if he ever did a 3-peat, I'd definitely put him above MJ. But even if he doesn't do a 3-peat, if he does match him for 6 and then he leads in every other category, and it's hard to debate. I mean, I'm not gonna fault him for losing if you've been there 13 times or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough, right? So if say he repeats this year, and then that's it. He's still not top than MJ for you. He has to get 6, or can he get by with 5?
I mean, if he did 5, so that means what he did. He had 2 back-to-backs. I mean, it'll make it. Yeah, exactly. On 3 teams, 2 back-to-backs. I mean, it'll make for a interesting argument. But I mean, yeah. I mean, if he gets 5, I can see myself putting him above him. But right now,
it's an interesting debate, man. It's an interesting debate. I don't know if you've heard of this book, man, but I recommend. It's called LeBron Inc. It's about how he the side of everything he does. Have you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't read it, but I've definitely heard of it though.
Yeah,
it's good. Definitely have to add that to the list.
Yeah, add it to the list, man. It's incredible the awareness that dude's had since he was, a teenager, to know like what people, if people were trying to exploit him or what intentions they had, just the awareness to be able to, like, when you're poor, to be able to tell Reebok, like, no, I don't want to accept your 110 mil today. Like, I want to go over here with Nike and I'm gonna create a bidding war. So it's just crazy, man. There's like a billion other things, but I recommend it. But yeah, I don't know, man. For me, I think after this last string, I'm giving Bron the GOAT status. over MJ. But I will say this: I think with sports medicine today, there's uh, an advantage that was never before had, like in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. You know what I mean? Like the
Yep.
longevity players are having. Like I saw Ronaldo became the leading goal scorer like in soccer ever, and it's just like these athletes, the way they're taking care of their bodies, the nutritionists, the things they're eating, the workout regimen. It's such a huge advantage over what people were doing back in the 90s, drinking Miller Lights and smoking and at halftime, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
it's interesting to think, what if MJ played with these kind of resources. So yeah, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
man, but I respect it. I respect it, man. MJ's definitely there. So who's gonna have a better career, man? Luka or Zion?
Luka. Yeah, Luka for
No doubt.
sure.
I'm with you there.
I mean, just his play style, better suited for what the league is and is
Yeah.
becoming. And then, from a longevity and health standpoint, Luka has a little more finesse than Zion, where um, you know, Father Time and Mother Nature, they catch up with everybody. Where it may impact Zion before it'll impact Luka.
No doubt, yeah. Luca, what I like about him is he doesn't really rely on his body too much. He's not insanely explosive. He has great agility and great footwork, but I feel like he, uses a lot of finesse, and that's encouraging for me because it's not like D Rose where it's like he was extremely explosive, and once those knees were gone, he was kind of gone. Kind of worry about that
Yeah.
with John Morant, but yeah, Luca, I'm with you there, man. So do you think he's the future face of the league?
Future face of the league. I think he'll be one of them.
Okay, maybe not the.
Uh, uh, right now, yeah, yes. But I mean, it just depends. He's next up. I mean, I think he's probably the only person in his class or the past 4 classes, whatever year he's in, to be in the top 10 of today's players
Yeah.
right now. So I mean, obviously, right now if you take everybody out and go to that next generation of stars, obviously he's the biggest attraction, and he'll be the best talent. But yeah, I mean, he'll definitely be one of them. I don't know if I would put him as the face of the league on a LeBron level, but he'll definitely be one of them.
Yeah. Okay. No, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I feel like he's what's also good about him. He seems like he's really easy to market. Like he's just a fun guy. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
content out there where you can put him out there and people will be fans of him. I haven't met really anyone that doesn't like him. You know what I mean? Because he's just a fun dude.
Right.
Who's the best NBA rapper, man, or just rapper in sports? You've got Le'Veon Bell, you got Dame Dollar. Like who is it for you?
Best rapper in sports. From the ones I've heard, I'd probably go Dame.
Dame. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard, like Lonzo and the other players and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think out of the ones who take it seriously and actually try to do something with it, yeah, I'll probably give it to Dame.
Dame. Would NBA on ESPN ever consider doing a crossover like that, like using like Dame Dollar, something like that, or nah?
It's been talked about, mentioned,
Okay.
specifically for something like a social execution with Damian Lillard or whatever the case may be, and he has good collaborations and stuff like that
Yeah,
too,
he does. Man, that
where
man's making moves this
you
year.
can make something work. Yeah, you can do something fun with it. I mean, Hulu just did it,
Dude,
where they had him rapping on the song or rapping himself
really, I
in
haven't even
his
seen it.
commercial.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I'll have to go look at that. Yeah, he's been that man's been making moves. I think
yeah.
they're doing some kind of like streaming service, no, like Players TV or something like that, where he's gonna
Mhm.
make a show. Yeah, no,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, and then he did the All-Star game last year. So I mean, like he's definitely taking it seriously and trying to make a name for himself in that as well. So yeah, I would go with Dame.
awesome, man. What are the 3 things that motivate you the most in life, man? We'll end off with that one.
Yeah, 3 things that motivate me the most. Definitely my family. Um, you know, First and foremost, my family, my mom especially. I make a fun acronym with the word mom. Put
Okay.
my number one motivation. So, hashtagging into the O. So, family is first and foremost the number one motivation. Number two, I would say, being able to position myself to give back and, having a full circle of life and helping people out, just because of how many people helped me get to where I am, both personally and professionally. So being able to put myself in a position to give back and do the right thing for others. And then three is, just being remembered, carving out your own legacy, making your own legacy. And, with that is success is, a quote that like one of my mentors told me when I was in high school. And he passed away now, but it was, success is measured by how many people you bless. So the more people you can bless and, help change the lives of others and do things for them, the more they remember you, and that helps define your legacy. And that's what, you can deem that successful outside of money.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I love that. Family in a position to give back and carving out a legacy, man. That's huge. Me as well. Like my family is very important to me, specifically my mom. I'm gonna use that acronym now. My number one motivation. I like that. And I love the motto you go by. It's like success is measured by how many people you bless. I think there's obviously money is one form of currency, but another form of currency that I think is even more important is like the people you meet and the people you touch in life, and that's what's gonna outlive you. You know what I mean? When our time goes, it's like, how many people did you touch? How many people did you impact for the better? What did you leave behind that's gonna outlive your life here on this earth? So I love it, man. Trey, really appreciate you doing this, man. It was fun talking. It was fun going through your story, and appreciate all the candor and honesty, man. Yeah, it's really fun. We'll have to catch up again soon, my guy.
For sure, no, definitely. Anytime, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Big fan of y'all's work for the NBA on ESPN, man. I like the hoodie. Let me know if you can get one. I heard a limited edition, WNBA, the orange hoodies, but
yeah, I think they're a little easier to grab now, but not yet. Definitely, I'll keep it in mind. Yeah.
Hey Trey, well, take it easy. Good luck with the rest of the season, my guy. I'll be looking out, and like I said, big fan of y'all's work, and we'll talk soon, man. Thank you.
Definitely looking forward to it. Thank you.
Don't be such a smart aleck.